Hi, I'm Diane Dayton. We're at the 20th Annual VF Outlet Berks Jazz Fest in Reading, Pennsylvania. Sitting down right now with Eric Darius. Thanks for being here, Eric.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Now, you're from the Tampa area.
I am.
And when did you start playing?
I started playing when I was 10 years old. Actually, how it started, my parents were really into jazz, so growing up, I was listening to George Benson, David Sanborn, Grover Washington Jr., but it really wasn't until I was about 9 years old that I just fell in love with the saxophone. I saw the saxophonist play at my church, and I was just so in love with that instrument, just the sound, the emotion that he played with. After church, I told my mom I wanted to be able to play the saxophone like him. Yeah. So my parents got me my first saxophone for my 10th birthday, and I've never looked back ever since.
Wow. Now, you were only 17 when your first CD came out, right?
I was.
How did that happen?
Well, I'm good friends with a lot of musicians in the Tampa Bay area, and I started writing music when I was 13 years old. I was in this group called America's Youngest Jazz Band. We traveled all around the world. We performed at the Montreux Jazz Festival in Switzerland when I was 11.
Oh, my.
But the band was from ages 5 through 12, and we played traditional classic jazz, Duke Ellington, Count Basie. So you had 5-year-old trumpet players, our drummer was 6, I was 11, so I was one of the older guys in the band.
Wow.
But, you know, I've always just been passionate about jazz, and so once I got into high school, I really got into jazz and composition, and that's when I was ready to start making my own music. So I recorded my first album my junior year in high school. I was 17.
That's excellent. And how do you describe your music?
Wow, that's a very good question, because my music really encompasses a lot of different sounds and styles. I mean, I grew up listening to R&B, pop, jazz, rock, gospel, reggae. So my music kind of crosses all those sounds and genres together and combines it as one. So I think my music it's definitely energetic, it's upbeat, it's different. You know, I like to think that my music is definitely different, but that's pretty much how I would describe my music.
Okay. Well, you're working on a new CD too. Tell me about that.
I am. This is my 4th album. It's going to be called On a Mission, and it's going to be coming out this summer, and I'm very excited about it. It's going to be released through Shawnee Entertainment, and you know, I definitely want to do some different things this time around on this album. You know, I've definitely done smooth jazz and pop and R&B, and I wanted to bring even more to the table this time. Show the other sides of my music and what I do. So there's some reggae, which is my roots. My mom's from Jamaica, so I wanted to really incorporate some of that into this album. And there's also some straight-ahead traditional jazz on this album, which I've never really done. And I started out playing traditional jazz, so I really wanted to bring some of those elements to this album. And I'm really excited about the album because I'm really venturing out and doing something different. You know, I'm going out on a limb and just taking chances this time around. I just want to make good music that people enjoy.
Yeah, and that's what it's about, taking chances and stretching yourself.
Absolutely. You know, when I think of artists like Miles Davis and Herbie Hancock, I mean, they're the type of artists that continue to evolve. You know, each album you listen to is different than the last. And that's the type of artist I want to be, is just continue to grow and evolve, and hopefully people will be able to hear those changes in this album.
Oh, yeah. Now, you were talking about touring as a very young person. When was the very first gig or performance you had? What do you recall?
The very first performance I had was at my church.
Okay.
I think I had been playing the saxophone for about 2 months at that time. I played this song called Because He Lives with my teacher, so we did a duet. And I was kind of nervous because I'd never really performed in front of people at that point. But once I got off the stage and people were clapping, it was just this real overwhelming feeling of just joy and excitement knowing that my music touched these people.
Yeah.
So, you know, my first performance was really a determining factor for me that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah, and you've never turned back.
Never turned back.
Never turned back. So how does it feel for you then as you continue, because that was your first experience with this, and I know it's different when you've got different groups of musicians and different audiences. How do you feel now on stage?
It's just like the first time. I mean, every single time I play my instrument in front of people, I always perform as if it's the last time I'm ever going to perform. I give my 100% every time. And, you know, people come up to me after the show, they tell me, you know, they were having a bad day or they're going through so many hard times, but after hearing me perform, my music made a difference in their life. So, you know, I really keep that in mind when I'm performing. You know, it's about the people, it's not about myself. So I get excited every single time I step on that stage, and I just give it my all every single time.
Well, let's look. You're young. Let's look at the crystal ball. Okay, what do you see your future down the road? Eric Darius is going to do what?
Wow, there's a lot of things I'd love to do, even outside of music. But as far as music is concerned, I'm really passionate about the youth, and I'd love to see younger kids getting involved in jazz. So I definitely want to start my own music program, maybe even have my own school where kids can learn how to play instruments. And I definitely want to start my own charity foundation, which will be giving instruments to less fortunate kids, to take them off the street and give them something positive to do. And I know there's a lot of kids that really love music but don't have the means to, you know, get an instrument. So I want to be able to make a difference in that way. Also, it's always been a lifelong goal to get a Grammy Award.
Yeah, there you go.
So I'm definitely working towards that, and hopefully, you know, down the road I will attain that. I'm really big into fashion also.
Oh, really?
Very big into fashion. So I'd love to have my own clothing line down the road. And I think really the sky's the limit. I mean, there's so many things I'd love to do.
Okay.
But, you know, I'm just taking it one step at a time.
Well, I love fashion, so just sidetrack here. What's your line going to look like? What do you think?
I think it's going to be elegant but classy, and I think it's going to be a little flashy too, because I mean, I think that's what I'm kind of about. I mean, I think it's going to definitely have a lot of different looks. You know, I'll have that real classy couture look, and then I'll also have this real edgy, flashy show type of attire. That's really what I'm into. So that's kind of a glimpse of what my fashion line would be about.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. That
Definitely.
really does. Yeah. Who do you see yourself playing with that you haven't played with yet that's kind of like on your wish list?
There are two at the top of my list. Stevie Wonder, who is one of my favorite artists of all time. I mean, I'm a huge fan of his music, and I'd love to have the opportunity to perform with him. And also Alicia Keys.
Okay.
I kind of look at her as a female version of Stevie Wonder, and she's from my generation, so it's really exciting for me to see that there's still talent out there, and her music is... She's an incredible songwriter, and her music has a lot of substance, and I'd love to perform with her.
Yeah. Well, I like what you're doing, and I can't wait to see what you do down the road. This is exciting, and you're fun to watch on stage, too.
Thank you very much.
Fun. So thank you so much for taking time today.
My pleasure.
Just letting us know a little bit about who you are and what's coming up.
Absolutely. There's a lot more in store, so keep tuning in.
That's right, and even look for that fashion element, too.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're coming to you from the 20th Annual VF Outlet Berks Jazz Fest right here in Reading, Pennsylvania.